Around 1500 to 1300 BCE, Egypt was experiencing its golden age. This was the time of Hatshepsut, Akhenaten, and soon Tutankhamun. Temples like Karnak and Deir el-Bahari stood tall. Trade with foreign lands was thriving. And Egypt's influence reached across the ancient world. But while Egypt flourished, other regions were also rising, changing or quietly shaping the future of civilization. In much of Europe, there were no great cities or written records. But it was the age of bronze tools, tribal chiefs, and warrior culture. In Mycenaean Greece, fortified palaces were being built. These people developed Linear B, the earliest form of Greek writing. They traded across the Mediterranean, buried their warriors with weapons, and laid the foundation for later Greek civilization. Further north and west, societies like the beaker culture and the Urnfield people practiced complex burial traditions. To the east of Egypt, Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, was entering a quieter phase. The once great Babylonian Empire had declined, and the Kassites, a foreign dynasty, now ruled the region. They maintained stability and preserved many Babylonian traditions, but didn't expand the empire further. In the north, the early Assyrians were growing stronger. Though not yet dominant, they were building the military strength and administrative systems that would later form one of the most powerful empires in ancient history. Mesopotamia, once the center of civilization, was now between great ages, but it remained culturally rich and politically relevant. In what is now Turkey, the Hittite Empire was expanding. They were highly organized, had a written language, and were skilled in diplomacy and warfare. Their kings ruled from fortified cities and signed some of the world's earliest treaties. They worshipped a pantheon of storm gods and built stone temples throughout their lands. The Hittites would eventually come into direct conflict with Egypt. In the Indian subcontinent, the great cities of the Indus Valley civilization, such as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, had already declined. Scholars believe climate change, flooding, or shifting rivers may have contributed to their fall. By 1500 BCE, new communities had begun to take root across the region. These included early Indo-Aryan settlers, whose oral traditions would later form the basis of the Vedas, laying the spiritual and cultural groundwork for Hinduism. Far to the east, China was ruled by the Shang Dynasty, one of its earliest historic states. The Shang kings built walled cities, organized armies, and practiced ancestor worship. They used oracle bones, inscribed turtle shells, and ox bones to ask questions of the spirit world. Bronze casting was highly advanced, with intricate vessels used in ritual ceremonies. In Japan, the Jōmon culture flourished during this period. These were hunter-gatherer communities who also practiced early agriculture and pottery. They created some of the oldest ceramics in the world, lived in semi-permanent villages, and worshipped natural spirits. There was no centralized government, no temples or writing systems, but the Jōmon people developed a rich cultural life rooted in their environment. Their connection to nature, art, and tradition would remain a deep part of Japanese identity for thousands of years. In the Americas, major empires like the Maya and Inca were still far in the future, but the foundations of civilization were already being laid. In Mesoamerica, the earliest signs of the Olmec culture were beginning to form, an advanced people who would later influence nearly every later civilization in the region. In South America, small communities continued traditions from the older Norte Chico civilization, practicing early forms of agriculture, religion, and trade. Though not yet powerful, these cultures would soon shape the identity of the ancient Americas. South of Egypt, along the Nile's upper reaches, the kingdom of Nubia, also known as Kush, was growing. Nubians traded gold, ivory, and exotic goods with Egypt. They adopted many Egyptian customs and would later become a major power themselves, even ruling as pharaohs during Egypt's 25th dynasty. During Egypt's golden age, Nubia was a rising force, connected to but distinct from its northern neighbor. So, while Egypt built temples, expanded trade, and worshipped the Aten, the rest of the world was evolving in parallel. Some civilizations were rising, others were recovering from collapse, and many were quietly shaping traditions, languages, and ideas that would last for thousands of years. History did not move in one direction, it unfolded everywhere.